Welcome to the Music Journal podcast, where we talk about the hottest things happening in music right now, and also how you can apply it if you're an aspiring producer or musician yourself. I'm your host, Wes Yee. I'm a producer, artist, and educator, and I'm stoked to be chatting with you. Let's make history. Welcome to another episode of the Music Journal. Today we have a really special guest. His name is Kyle Bent. Kyle's a really incredible artist, and the way we met is a pretty crazy story, actually. I had never even heard of him, surprisingly, but I went to go see some of my favorite artists perform at a local venue in Worcester, Massachusetts. I went to go see Joyner Lucas, Hopsin and Token, and halfway through the show, this guy comes out. His name's Kyle Bent, and performs one song, slayed it. It was amazing, and it was so good that I had to actually start following him, which doesn't really happen that often. Like, I hear a lot of random artists come on sometimes, and it's very rare that their song really moves me to the point where I want to follow them, to the point where I have to follow them. And Kyle was able to kind of do that, and I started following him, and then months later, I kind of became an artist, and I'm doing my second show, and I'm opening on a Wednesday night, and I was not looking forward to it at all because none of my friends wanted to come out, and I didn't have a lot of fans at the time. So, Wednesday night, it's really hard to draw a crowd. But I was like, fuck it. I went, and to my surprise, Kyle was actually there with another band, another artist there. So it's kind of crazy because I wasn't really planning on the show going very well, but then Kyle and I met, and then we started talking and connecting, and I heard him start talking about meditation and all sorts of cool stuff that I kind of do as well. So we kind of became friends through that, and I'm honored to have him on the show. He's one of the most intelligent people I think I've ever met in my entire life, just kind of outside of the whole artist realm. And on top of that, he's a really amazing rapper and an entrepreneur. So Kyle, thanks for being here, man.
Hey man, thank you for having me. Thank you for that last introduction, bro. I was appreciate it, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I meant every word. So I gave you a little bit of an intro, but do you want to just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so born in Jamaica. I've been living in Randolph, Massachusetts for majority of my life, and I'm 20 years old now. So I moved up when I was 2 from Jamaica, and I've just been grinding hard from independent to signed, and from signed back to independent, and that's what I currently am right now. And my whole steez is really just creating dope music that I vibe with personally. So energy is it goes all over the place, but what I like to keep at all times is like a conscious awareness in my music. So regardless how it shows up, I always keep that sensor, and just pushing it along.
Well, one of the things I think is so amazing about what you do is the fact that you're not only conscious, but you also make music that really hits. Like the trap thing is kind of in right now, and I've always told myself, and I actually had a professor back when I was in college. He used to engineer like Biggie and like Alicia Keys and shit. And he used to say that if somebody can do the conscious thing and have those hard-hitting beats and kind of that trap influence, that person is going to go extremely far. And you're actually the first person I think I've met who kind of has the best of both worlds. So I think that's a really incredible thing you have. How were you able to kind of find and cultivate that sound? Because I've also tried to dabble with it, and I haven't really had much success, to be honest. I have to kind of either go one way, either go with the hard beats or go with the conscious stuff. So how have you been able to kind of master that sound and kind of develop that into your own thing?
Well, it's really just what I like. I make music that I can personally bump if it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just as much of a trap artist and like a trap vibe type person, just new wave, all that, as much as I am a conscious, spiritual, like meditation, Buddha type person. So it's like, for me, I'm really just being my complete self. And I guess that's how it comes out so authentically and clean.
Yeah, I think that's dope, dude. And I think it's a really difficult thing to do too. It sounds like it would be easy, you know, like kind of making music that's true to yourself and kind of maintaining your identity and everything. But if anybody who's listening has attempted to be an artist before or write a song, it's really easy, I feel like, to kind of get caught up in the wave of like, oh, this is cool, this is not cool, I should do this because it's cool, I shouldn't do this because this isn't cool. And it's really hard to just kind of just be yourself in your music. Did you have a hard time kind of doing that, or is it just something that you were always able to do, or just something that you always wanted to do?
No, I have a pretty good grasp on like staying in my truth when it comes to my music. I have dabbled with like just doing like remixes and all that. I don't really see myself as losing my center too much when I do that though. You know, like it's kind of more experimentation, and I'll keep like, you know, my own authentic sauce with it. But yeah, like just I guess that's the only time I can imagine me kind of riding a trend, but I like to like keep that in good balance, never to overdo it. And yeah, for the most part, I'm good on that tip.
I think you're real good at it, man. Kyle actually has a remix of Gucci Gang, the Lil Pump song, and he films it in the Gucci store and everything, and they get kicked out. It's hilarious. But over that instrumental, he's talking about kombucha and like pineal glands and all sorts of dope shit, all at the same time getting kicked out of the fucking Gucci store. So I think that's a really well done piece. So it's crazy, man, because even though you're doing a remix, you're still doing you know, you're still doing music that's real to you. Would you recommend that other artists kind of do the same, like kind of find themselves and kind of put that in their music?
Yeah, I think that's the only way you're gonna have a successful career. I feel like even if someone's able to like finesse, you know, and get people to like their music when it's not really them, like the road is gonna be so like uncomfortable and unaligned with you that, you know, things are gonna pop up here and there that just, you know, makes you wish you were just doing what really felt right in your heart. So I think even before trying to move along in this type of world, like this creative venture, to really like hone in on who you are as a person and make that, you know, the staple.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And like I said, Kyle actually had the amazing opportunity to tour with people like Joyner Lucas and Hopsin and Token, who I also feel like are just 100% themselves as well. They showcase it in their music and in their interviews, and they don't try to be anybody else. And I think that's one reason why you had that opportunity. And I think that's really dope. Kind of on the topic of that tour, do you have any crazy stories from either that tour or another tour? Just any crazy story from just being an artist and your journey?
Crazy story. When we were like on one of the last tour dates of the I think it was the Knock Madness tour, something like that, but Hopsin's tour. Mm-hmm. And we were in like Santa Cruz or something. And you know, just another show, and it was a dope crowd, and there was like 3,000 people there. Joyner was doing his set, and I think we have been planning to like do a bunch of crowd surfs throughout the whole tour, and I don't think I had done one yet. And I was just really like adamant about it. Like I really had to get my crowd surfing before this tour was over.
Hell yeah, dude.
And yeah, and then I remember Joyner performing and me jumping off, me like thinking like, all right, this is my time. And the crowd was prime. And then I remember just running towards the edge of the stage and taking that leap and looking in front of me and seeing nobody there to catch me, man.
Holy shit, dude.
I hit the ground with the flattest cheek, bro. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Got out of than I think I ever moved in my life. And it was pretty clean, jumped back on stage, kept the party going. But yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you got out of it pretty smooth, dude.
Yeah,
that's
bro,
fucked
like
though. Where were the people when you jumped?
Man, they parted like the Red Sea, bro.
Would you try it again after that
Yeah.
happened? Because some people, I feel like if that happened to me, I'd be like, fuck, I don't know if I'm gonna try it again for a little bit. But at the same time, it's one of those things I feel like you have to do as an artist is crowd surf. Like I remember Token and Hopsin doing it at the show I saw where you were touring with them, and it just looks so fun. It looks so incredible. Is it something you try
Yeah,
again? You
it's
think?
dope, man. Of course, of course. I love crowd surfing.
Oh, have you got it
That
since?
was just a night. Yeah, yeah. I've done it since. I've done it before that. Yeah, man. That was just that was just a crazy occurrence. But learn from it. Don't jump when they ain't ready. When they ain't
Yeah.
expecting.
I feel like it's
Yeah,
you watch like UFC at all? You hip to any like fighting kind of sports?
yeah. UFC, WWE, and all that.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I follow that a little bit too, and I remember the first fight I watched was Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao was the first fight I ever saw, and I remember watching it, and I was like, how are these people not like all like fucked up? Like their faces look fine, they don't have like black eyes or anything, and what my friend told me who follows the fight scene pretty closely, he said it's because the adrenaline kicks in while you're fighting, and that keeps it from I guess like hurting and you from like swelling up and stuff. But the day after is when you start to feel it. So when you hit the ground and then got up and got back on stage and like everything was all good, did you feel it the next day? Or
Oh, did I feel it? I mean, my heart did, dog.
which is like almost
If
worse,
anything,
right?
yeah. Yeah, bro. I don't know if I had any bruises on my face, but I was feeling it. Like, damn. Yeah,
Well, yo, if I'm ever at
it
a
was
show of
cool,
yours
though.
again, which I definitely will be, I don't know why I said if, and you want to crowd surf, man, I'm gonna make sure everybody's there and prepared to do that.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
That's appreciated, man. We gonna brighter futures ahead.
Hey, what's something about you that people wouldn't guess just by looking at you? Like first glance, you have a lot of dope photos. What's something that people might not expect about Kyle Bent?
Um, man, I'm extreme dude. I take it there.
Okay.
Pretty honest. Pretty honest for the most part. Uh, yeah, man. I mean, I'm a pretty open book, man. Like you'll probably know a lot about me before you meet me that lines up when you do meet me. So yeah, I'm pretty honest, dude. Nothing else comes to mind off bat.
That's definitely true. I'll say something that kind of surprised me actually is when I went to one of your shows and you did your song Childhood, which is actually one of my favorites of yours. And I
Thank you.
remember you said like you did ayahuasca or something, and to me I was just kind of like, whoa, like that's kind of surprising because I didn't think that you really like drank or smoked or anything that much, at least these days. So when you said that, I was kind of like, whoa, like oh damn, this dude's kind of experienced
You
some
think
shit.
so, yeah.
When did you do that?
Um, I did my first trip when I was like 16.
Oh wow. Is that
Yeah.
that actually kind of brings us into the topic that I wanted to talk about, which is just kind of like mindfulness in music and how just being spiritually mindful and spiritually aware kind of helps you not only in music but also just kind of navigating through life. I think there's a lot of parallels to that, and then your life experience is also going to come out in your music too, so they're all kind of connected. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Every piece.
When approximately would you say you started really getting into that kind of stuff and kind of just, I know you've been questioning just kind of existence and life in general for a really long time, but when did you seriously start getting into that kind of stuff and just trying to maintain positivity and mindfulness and spirituality and stuff like that?
I was really always curious about that world. When I was young, I was just like, into those type of topics. And then when I hit maybe 13, 14, started learning about like weed and whatnot and just like altered mind states and thinking like, yo, that, sounds hella cool, like, going somewhere in your mind and all that. Remember asking my homie to put me on the weed so I could experience that. Yeah, he filled out a simple mission
Was it
and put me on the spice and stuff. And that shit was wild.
damn.
Uh,
Was it before or
yeah.
after you started making music?
I was already making music. I've been making music since I was like 7,
Wow.
so it was kind of like the progression there. Yeah,
Would you
and
say that sorry to cut you off, but would you say that your music got better when you started focusing on stuff like this?
it got different. It got like more. It got more like um. I went down the rabbit hole of who I was. So yeah, it got more interesting. If nothing else,
um
good is in the eye of the beholder and whatever your preference is. But yeah, I
yeah.
thought it was still dope. Very
Would you say
yeah.
different in a good way? Different in a good way for you, right?
Oh yeah, I mean everything I've done has been amazing in its own right. Just a lot of different angles of Kyle Bent up to this point now.
Yeah, totally. Well, I feel like so much of music is also just kind of venting. So if you have, I've dabbled in hallucinogens too. I've done shrooms probably like 12 times. I don't know if I should be saying that on my podcast, but I said it anyways. First time I ever told a girl that I loved her was also on shrooms on Valentine's Day 2015. So pretty crazy, man. But kind of on that topic, actually. You ever do shrooms?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Yeah, I assume so.
Probably like yeah.
Dude, I've played jazz. It's kind of like my background and kind of my roots. But I had this roommate who was also kind of like a jazz guy years ago, and we used to we used to jam every time we took shrooms, and it felt so good to be playing under that state of mind. But I remember we recorded it once, and it was like all fucking weird shit. And like something I would never like put out or release or show anybody. But what was crazy is I remember every time after I came out of a trip, I would just have all these new fresh ideas. And anytime I felt like I hit a plateau, if I kind of delved into that aspect of my mind and just kind of started thinking a different way and kind of just seeing everything as kind of being new, quote unquote, again. It was like a total like reset button on whatever plateau I hit in my music career or creative brain, because everybody hits writer's block, including Kyle Bent, I'm sure, right? So would you say that or maybe not, I don't know, but I know I hit writer's block all the time, and doing that and just kind of putting myself in a different mindset is one of those things that can really help me kind of get out of it and become inspired again. Would you say that's been true for you as well?
As far as just like dabbling in that mind space in order to get myself out of like stale moments, stagnance,
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah, definitely, man. Kind of just being inspired by life every step of the way.
Yeah, totally. It's also crazy, man, because you have a lot of different topics in a lot of your music, and I think it's really cool because I often find myself just kind of writing about the same stuff a lot. How do you find these topics to write about? Where do you get that inspiration from?
Really from myself, from life, and everything in between. if there's any difference, really. Just kind of like imagining different perspectives and different dynamics of my own self. Yeah.
Yeah,
For the
definitely.
most part.
Both of us meditate. I meditate daily. I don't know how often you do. Do you do it pretty frequently?
Yeah. For the most part, I stay on top of it, but my schedule gets sporadic, and I kind of just do it whenever I can at times. But yeah, I try to keep it in the loop.
Of course, definitely, it's important. Would you say that a lot of your ideas come when you're kind of in that meditative mindset and when just kind of your mind is flowing freely? Would you say a lot of your ideas come during that time, or would you say they more come, I guess, while you're experiencing things and living life? Or is it kind of like 50-50, like a good balance?
I could say that could be 50-50, probably like 70-25. Like whenever I'm meditating, I'm kind of like trying to zone into myself.
Yeah.
And then times when I get like song ideas, it'll be like when I'm in the motion of something or just experiencing life and all that.
What would you recommend to an artist who maybe is thinking about meditation but just hasn't tried it yet? Because it can be one of those things that kind of requires a little bit of discipline, I feel like, to just start doing it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like working out. Like a lot of people go to the gym for like a week or whatever, and then stop doing it after that week. What would you recommend to an artist who wants to tap into that part of their brain, just that part of themselves, but can't find the discipline to do it?
Shit, just do it on the real, cause not for real, cause like meditation isn't like this complex process. Like it's really just closing your eyes, or I mean, sometimes not even closing your eyes, but just going there, like being with yourself in a moment. So like some people meditate through walking, some people meditate even through their music. Some people, their meditation is like their smoke, you know, but like I guess bringing it back to like yourself, like outside of anything, objective to you or external of you, you're all you really need. Like your own mind is how you experience your world. So like being able to sit with your own mind, you know, past all the confusion and chatter, and just kind of like love it and, surrender to it until like all that confusion and chatter in your head like slows down and becomes more empty space where you can like think clearer, be more in tune with yourself. And for me, like like I like how you compare it to working out, because even though it's like a commitment, like you obviously do it if you feel like you need it, and the more you do it, the more you realize how it helps. But where working out, you have to go to the gym and really like, you know, put yourself through these strenuous practices. Like meditation is a lot simpler because, you know, you don't have to do it for like 30 minutes to an hour. You can really just, you know, at any moment on a train, in the car, you know, reading a book, like close your eyes for like 5 minutes and just take yourself there. And like, that's really simple. So yeah, I think it's something that's super beneficial for anybody who dives into that world.
I think that's great advice, man. I think you just gave our listeners a lot to think about. That's fucking dope, dude. When did you start meditating? When was like the first time you kind of sat down and said, okay, this is something I'm going to do, and this is something that I'm going to keep doing?
Yeah, probably not till like 16, after my first trip.
You said not till I was 16, but that's early for a lot of people, man. I'm a little older than you. I'm 24, and I didn't realize how bad I needed it. To the point where I started doing it till I was probably older than you, probably like 22. So I think you're wise beyond your ears, man.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I asked this question on every single episode. I love the answers I get, and I'm really curious what your answer is. If you had unlimited money, no strings attached, what would you do and why?
Unlimited cash. Mm-hmm. Give it back in various ways, but like funding a lot of projects, funding my own, of course, and then like seeing other people I believe in and funding theirs, and like changing the world through those creative means, and you know, outside of music, etc., fashion and all that.
I want you to be a little bit more specific if you can. Like, what exactly would you do to do that? Like, what exactly would you fund, and what artists in particular do you really believe in that you would help their careers?
I got a bunch in mind right now. Just like people from my own town, state, and it's a bunch that of course I probably haven't even met yet. But investing into a bunch of like music artists, you know, rap and other genres, starting up ventures. You know, startup companies, funding people's ideas, you know, who like have a vision of, you know, how to bring something to life, me believing in that, putting the money up, you know, books, all that. Like just really all I would do with cash is fund creative projects is where my heart is.
Would you invest in something that wasn't music related?
Yeah. The whole nine, anything that resonates with me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all cash for anyway, to give it back some way or another.
Dude, I love that. I think that's amazing. How'd you become or just realize that you were a creative person? Because I know a lot of people, I actually have a philosophy that everybody has the potential to be a creative person. I don't think anybody's really born creative. I think it takes work, and I think it's a lot of trial and error. But at what point did you realize that you were just a creative person? Like that's your identity and you were born to create stuff and ultimately eventually start investing in other creative ventures?
Well, truth is, man, I have to go against the notion, bro. I think everybody creative. I think like we all come out the womb. I feel like your mom created you, you feel? Like your mom ain't think she was Picasso. She definitely created a masterpiece, you feel? So like your dad too, dog. And like, you know, then you come out the womb and you're a creator yourself. Like every single moment we creating, whether it's like on a canvas sheet, you know, in the studio, or, you know, it's doing something simple, you know, creating a moment, all that. But, when I realized that like I wanted to just ride that creative flow and, you know, make that into my main purpose in life, you know, maybe like around third grade. And before then it was just, you know, doing what kids do, because kids are hella creative, man, like playing in the sandbox, like creating sandcastles and all that. Like everything's really just art, man. However you want to look at it, like life is art. So yeah, man, around like third grade, I just realized I wanted to create in a very intentful way and make that what I do, you know, music being that.
I think that's dope, and I think that's really awesome that you realized it so early. And what you said, I think, is totally true and makes total sense, which is that kids are totally creative, and it's something I don't really think about that often, but you kind of just opened my mind to it right now. I think what stops a lot of people as they get older from being creative is kind of that lack of freedom. Like when you're a kid, you don't care about anything, like nothing's getting in your way, like there's no like insecurities or anything or personal doubts that are preventing you from being creative. So you'll go to the fucking sandbox and build like the Mona Lisa or whatever out of sand. And and as you get older, I think that the only thing stopping you from being as creative as you possibly can be at the end of the day is you. And that kind of takes us back to the whole mindfulness thing and the whole mindset thing. And this is stuff that you can start to realize about yourself through meditation, and then also how to kind of combat it. So I think that's dope, dude. And unfortunately, that's about our time, man. It kind of flew by for me. If you want to... Hey, if you want to tell the listeners where they can find you, I know you have a record coming out pretty soon. Feel free. Drop that shit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Kyle Bent on all social media. Hit me up on Instagram. KyleBentMusic.com, my main site. Got The Moment Is Forever album coming soon. A bunch of visuals and dope tracks dropping in between that. Keep up with your boy.
Dope. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, bro. It was definitely a vibe, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Music Journal. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a lot out of it. If you want to know more about me and what I do, I just put out a personal EP on Spotify. You can go to bit.ly/Wes Yee Spotify. And if you want to know more about music production, I teach an online course about it too. Just shoot an email to wes@homestudiohits.com and I'll send you an application. Just for filling out the application, I'll send you a free sample pack of sounds I use to make the instrumental you're listening to, and more. All these links will be available in the show notes, so you can check them out there. And while you're there, if you feel inclined to rate this show 5 stars, that would really help me out. Other than that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thanks again. Peace.